morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Tapp, Skip Bayless, and Shannon Sharp. Good to see you both today. How are you doing?
Doing better than somebody I know.
I'd say I'm doing a little better because there was a bet we made once upon a time that the Patriots, you said, would have a better record than the Buccaneers. And I'm starting to like my side of that bet a little better.
I had to hedge those, Skip, but you know things are extenuating circumstances beyond our control.
Yeah, you did add Cam, but now you've lost this, and go, Jenny.
A lot of this.
You're right. My turn. We do have some news coming out of New England, and that is how we begin the show today because Patriots Pro Bowl linebacker Dont'a Hightower is the latest player in New England to opt out of playing the 2020 season. Running back Brandon Bolden and starting offensive lineman Marcus Cannon are among 5 total Patriots who have now decided to not play this season. It's also worth noting that Hightower just had a child. So, Shannon, what does this tell you?
It tells me that these young men are very, very responsible. Skip, they're factoring in, and I think this is a decision that you have to make, is that Dont'a Hightower and his wife made a decision, fiance, wife, they made a decision. We just had a small child. Is this something that I'm willing to live with the risk that's there? Skip, I can tell you, if my grandmother was living with me, my nephew at the time had cerebral palsy. Skip, is a no-brainer. I'm not playing. But that's a decision, and I think, Skip, when you look at a lot of these guys, Skip, what are the reasons that they play? For family. Well, Skip, if I'm playing for my family and my playing puts them in harm's way, what am I doing?
Yep.
So I think that he made a very, very wise and responsible decision. Marcus Cannon is a cancer survivor. Well, it's a no-brainer, Skip.
Yep.
Anytime somebody has a high morbidity rate that's in their home, and that's what the schools are dealing with. Okay, kids under the age of 10, Skip, they don't get the diseases easily. They don't carry it. But what about the 10 and over? Well, if somebody, grandparents, mom, dad, has a morbidity rate at home, you bring that home to them, then boom. And so I think these guys are making very, very wise decisions. And I think everybody has to make a decision that's best suited for them. Skip, it's not one size fit all. Well, you see what Hightower did? Well, he must know something that I don't. You see what Marcus Cannon did? They must know something we don't know. They're making decisions based on the best information they have that's best suited for their family. And I have no problem with this whatsoever, Skip. He's making the decision best for Dont'a Hightower, Cannon, and so forth and so on. And I think at the end of the day, that's what players are going to have to do. What is in the best interest of my family? Nothing else matters. My family, because this is why I'm playing. You listen, Skip, when all these guys say, you know, I do this for my family, my wife, my kids, my family, my mom, my grandma. That's what they're doing it for. Well, if you're going to run the risk of putting them in harm's way, it makes no sense to do this.
Yep. Okay, so the bigger question to me is, will this set the dominoes falling across the league today as camps open? Will lots of veteran players or even younger players start to say, gee, maybe he's right, maybe I shouldn't even try this? Will the dominoes fall to the point that it will put in jeopardy the National Football League season?
I don't believe it will.
I'm going to say no on this one because I do think this is something of a special case.
Correct.
So, again, I don't find it a huge shock that Dont'a Hightower opted out because, as Jenny mentioned, you went into, on July 16th, he had his first child. And a few days later, he did the podcast of the McCourty brother, the twins, obviously. And he said that I don't have words to describe the feeling of bringing another human into this world. He tried to put it in words, and he said, I just can't tell you how it's hit me to where I don't even know how to explain to you what it means to me. Okay, so he's 30 years old. He's going into his 9th season. He's made 2 Pro Bowls. Last year he did make the Pro Bowl. And he has 3 rings. He has Shannon Sharp's 3 rings. It's a lot of rings. A lot. How many hundreds and hundreds play this game with 0 rings? He's got 3. He got to play with Tom Brady. Tom's obviously gone now.
First-round draft pick. He's made money.
Alabama. He's made a lot of money. And knowing him, I'm pretty sure he's banked a lot of money. So he is willing now to, as they say, put a toll on this season. It just moves. He doesn't. It won't count.
Right.
For him.
He doesn't get in the current season. So next year he'll be going into his ninth season.
And all he'll make this year, when he was scheduled to make $8 million, pretty good money, is $150,000 because he
towards next year's salary.
Yes. So he has no pre-existing conditions.
Right.
Marcus Cannon, you mentioned, is a cancer survivor, so he would get $350,000.
Correct.
Okay. So it's not much money. It's a big financial decision, but if you're positioned to make it, good for you.
Right.
Way to go. But again, the dominoes are only falling so far in New England.
Right.
So now we got Brandon Bolden, another guy entering his 9th year with 3 rings. Okay, and was scheduled to make $1.3 million. Not great, but not bad.
Right.
By most people's standards. And Marcus Cannon is 32 with 3 rings. So it was, to me, much easier for those 3 New England veterans who've all won 3 rings to say, okay, maybe I don't want to take the plunge and the risk that a lot of people are about to take, right? So that brings to the total, there are a couple of backups, a backup fullback, backup offensive lineman. So 5 New England Patriots have opted out.
Right.
So far, all we know, there are only 9 across the whole league who have so far opted out as camps are opening mostly today, next couple of days. So what do we see here? Is this a runaway trend? Is this, so to speak, outbreak of players saying, no, we won't even try? No, I don't see it. I'm sorry. I get him. I get Marcus Cannon. I get Brandon Bolden. But after that, I still say most players will say, I think it's okay. There was I don't even know how you say his name, but the offensive tackle, Lauren Duvernay Tardif, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The offensive lineman from the Chiefs.
Yes, but he's a medical doctor who's been fighting COVID on the front lines in his native Canada.
Correct.
So he just said, no, too risky. Okay, get it. And he just won a ring last year.
Basically, he said, if I'm going to contract this disease, I'm not going to contract it playing football. I'm going to contract it treating patients.
Which he's
been doing. He's been on the front.
Risk of doing.
He's been on the front line. Skip, I just think the thing when you really look at it, Skip, and it's really a no-brainer when you look at Skip and when you break it down. When a person's on their deathbed, how many times they say, "Man, I wish I had more money," or they lag for someone's life, loved one. Money is the last thing on their life. Maybe if you say, "Well, if I had more money, I could have done a better job of taking care of them." But in a situation like this, it seems to be, for me, a no-brainer, especially with Marcus Cannon, with a pre-existing, like cancer. And the NFL laid out a lot of the pre-existing conditions, Skip, in which they, were taken into account. And as you mentioned, we get the $300,000 towards next year. Skip, I get that. And so for me, it's like July 16th, the baby's what? So 2 weeks old. He's got to report here in the next day or two. He's like, you know what? Nah, I can't even in good conscience. And he's so elated to bring a life, to have a life. And he's the responsible person. He's responsible for this life. Nah, it doesn't work for me. And so, Skip, I don't hold it against the guys. And like I said, I do agree with you. I don't think we're going to see holes there. Well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. Nah, because a lot of guys are not in the position to forego that kind of money. Like you said, he was a first-round draft pick. He got first-round money. He's done a new contract. So Dont'a Hightower, as you mentioned, I believe he's done good with his money. And so with that being said, I just think he's making the right decision. And each guy, the 1,500, 1,700 players they are, you're going to have to go by case. A lot of these guys, Skip, they don't have anybody in the home. It's them by themselves. So it's an easier decision for them. Okay, they have no underlying condition. They have nobody in the home with a morbidity rate, high morbidity. So it's a no-brainer for them.
Maybe they haven't saved a lot of money.
Right, exactly.
Maybe they have a lot of expenses.
Right, but if I got mom or grandma or an elderly person, or I have a child that has needs, nah.
Okay, so what do we see across the NFL landscape? We had another little incident come up in Minnesota yesterday.
Correct.
Now they have 4 rookies who went on the COVID list where you've either tested positive or been exposed to somebody who did test positive.
Correct.
But their head of their COVID protocol, their infection control officer, who's also their head trainer named Eric Sugarman, he tested positive.
Right.
And he believes he got it from his kids. He has 4 kids, and I don't know how many of them tested positive.
Right.
But so he got it at home.
Right.
So again, it's an isolated incident. I don't know if that factored into the rookies being around him.
Right.
Maybe. And obviously, we still have the unsettling issue in baseball, in which, what are we up to now? Marlins 11. Yeah, 14 total with coaches. And now we await the results of the Phillies, who are playing the Marlins. We still haven't heard their test results. Thought we might get them last night.
Right.
And yet, Rob Manfred, who is the head of baseball, he says this is not a nightmare scenario. So, okay, so he's saying we have our protocols in place. We expected some of this to happen. We have expanded rosters. We're ready to move forward, even with the Marlins. Okay, so let's see if they can move through this, because it's not shocking that one team, because somebody made a really bad choice, had a little outbreak, maybe a big outbreak.
And that's the thing, Skip, is that it spreads so rapidly. But Skip, even that being said, even though they believe they have this under control, that seems like a high number. 14, they can't have more than 100 people around there at one time. And you're talking about that many, Skip? I mean, they say in the general population, 5% is high. So you're talking about 14 out of 100? Jeez. Good luck. Skip, I hope, because I don't want them to shut down baseball. I mean, it just